to good friends, the ones we hold dear, the ones who will tell us what we need to hear, the ones who love us, right or wrong, and to all those good friends that give you this song.
Well, hello, good friends, and welcome back to The Last Walk, Remember When, with your host, Ron Baumbach. We're back in time again for the fun time, so get up off your easy chair, walk over to your fridge, reach in the back, get that bottle of Hires root beer, get a tall glass filled with those cubes from your tray, make sure it sizzles and fizzles and tickles your nose. Reach up in the cupboard, look for some Pez. Go back to your easy chair, turn on your lava lamp. We're going back to Met times 1969, when the Mets won the World Series. So close your eyes, get ready, it's storytelling time. The Last Walk is back.
Oh, I've been so lucky and I've been so blessed. In spite of my failings, I've found success. For I've known love and I've known good times, and I have known friendship and written some rhymes.
The date was April 17th, 1968, opening day for the Mets at Shea Stadium, and my Aunt Estelle got me seats from her boss, the Schwab brothers, to sit along the first base side. I think it was the second or third row of that game. I was pumped. Mets had never won an opening day, and this day it didn't look too good. A rookie named Jerry Koosman's on the mound against the famous San Francisco Giant team. Willie Mays, William McCovey, Jim Ray Hart, all these great players. In the first inning, he gets 3 guys on base, bases loaded, and I'm thinking this is not going to be good. Then he strikes out Willie Mays. Jim Ray Hart fouls out, and Jack Hyatt struck out. Koosman went on to win the game, and won 19 games that year as a rookie. He, along with Tom Seaver, who won 16 games, started that foundation that you could see something was happening. The Mets were coming into fruition. The team actually won 73 games that year. First time ever they won more than 70 games. And we didn't finish in last place. We came in 9th. Gil Hodges, the manager, you could see a change. A change is a brewing.
Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York Town.
Now it's spring training of 1969. Mets are gathered together. Gil Hodges, the manager, his coaching staff, including Yogi Berra, get together in St. Petersburg, Florida, for the Mets to start their new beginning. And you can feel a sense, a difference around. And Tom Seaver led the charge. They come out and they have opening day against the Montreal Expos. I go to the game. It's the first game ever played by the Expos, as they may have mentioned in the past. And the Mets lost the game. But hope was not dim, because the players on this team, I believe some 35 were on the roster for the whole season altogether. He can only carry 25, but I think we had 35 played throughout the course of the year. Jerry Grode, Ed Kranepool, Ken Boswell, Bud Harrelson, Wayne Garrett, Cleon Jones, Tommy Agee, Ron Swoboda, Art Shamsky, Al Weiss, Rod Gaspar, Don Clendenin, who was traded for later in the season, Bobby File, J.C. Martin, Ed Charles, Amos Otis, Duffy Dyer, Kevin Collins, Jim Gosker, Bob Heiss, And, of course, Tom Seaver, Jerry Koosman, Jerry Gentry, Don Caldwell, Jim McAndrew, Nolan Ryan, Tug McGraw, Cal Kuntz, Jack DeLauro, Ron Taylor, Al Jackson, Danny Frisella, Les Rohr, Jesse Hudson, and Bob Johnson had different ideas for that year to happen. And it did. And one by one, as they started the season, you could sense a difference this year. They played tough. The Chicago Cubs were tough too. They were in first place most of the year. We had the Black Cat game. We had the Imperfect Game by Tom Seaver. So many things happened that season. And come August, things really started to gel together. It was a really tight pennant race. It was close. And in September, the Mets put on the gas, put on the pedal, started playing really, really good. It was wonderful. Finally, success in Shea.
Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets!
And so it was September 10th, 1969. Ironically, the Mets are playing the Montreal Expos. The same team will beat them on opening day 11-10. They had a doubleheader. And on that day, the Mets swept both games in a doubleheader to finally move into a tie and then move ahead of the Chicago Cubs for first place. The first time the Mets were ever in first place, ever, in all the years of existence. And they never looked back. My fellow classmates and dorm mates on my floor, 6th floor at Marist College, Poughkeepsie, New York, gathered me, took me, ran me down the hall, and threw me into the showers. It was a spirit of excitement, and I was standing there dripping wet, all my clothes on, with the showers on, and it was a thrill because the Mets were in first place. They did the same thing about a week later when the Mets beat the Braves. And we went on to the World Series. We beat the Braves in the playoffs. And the guys took me, about 20, 30 guys, dragged me down, threw me in the showers. It was a fun time.
Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets!
And I'm sitting in my room in college, at Marist College, in October of 1969. Mets finally made it to the playoffs, and they won the playoffs against the Braves. It was incredible. They had a thing where the Mets were going to be selling tickets for the World Series. I'm in my room with my buddies, and we're saying, geez, I said to them, guys, years ago I vowed to myself, if the Mets ever make the World Series, I want to be there. And I figured I wouldn't be able to go. I was 100 miles away in Poughkeepsie. So my buddies and I looked at me and they said, what are you, crazy? Let's take a ride down and buy tickets. I said, we can't do that. They said, we can do it. So they talked me into it. We got in my car. We drove down to Shea Stadium. We camped overnight in the parking lot of Shea Stadium. There was a bonfire people put together. We stayed the night, sat by this bonfire, waited online, the long line of people, and we got our tickets. They said, which game do you want to get? Well, we had faith we would go at least to the 5th game, and we picked the 5th game. Were we ever so right?
Oh, I've been so lucky and I've been so blessed. In spite of my failings, I've found success. For I've known love and I've known good times, and I have known friendship and written some rhymes.
So the World Series is now played. The first game we lost to Baltimore, in Baltimore 4-1. Second game in Baltimore, we won 2-1. Third game, which was home at Shea Stadium, Mets won 5-0. We're now leading the Orioles in the World Series 2-1. On the fourth game, October 15th, Mets won 2-1. I think that was a J.C. Martin game, where he ran down the first and beat the tag. It's now Mets up 3-1. And now it's October 16th, 1969, about 2 p.m. I drive down with my buddies from Marist College, park my car over where my dad used to work by the A&P Bakery, and walk the walk to Shea Stadium. It was packed. We had our seats on the top deck of Shea Stadium in left field, the way on the top. We had a bed sheet from Marist. We wrote Jive in 5 on the sheet, big enough that everyone in the stadium could see it. We were thrilled. The Mets were pumped. We're ready to go and take this thing home. The game was 0-0 to the top of the third inning. And then along came a guy named Mark Belanger, who was a shortstop for the Orioles. Gets a single. He's followed by Dave McNally, the great pitcher of the Orioles, who was doing really good pitching that day. He gets a long home run to left field. We were losing 2-0. A few batters later, up comes Frank Robinson, the Hall of Famer, who's really, really good. He gets a home run to deep left center field. We're now losing 3-0. But nobody got upset. No one got worried. No one was concerned at all. The Mets are going to pull this thing out. We'll win this game. We knew we were going to do it. We have Jerry Koosman on the mound. Supposedly Koosman goes back into the dugout, tells the guys, don't worry. I'll hold them. You get the runs. We're going to win this game. At the top of the 6th inning, we're losing 3-0. Up comes Cleon Jones. He appears to get a foul ball. Then Gil Hodges takes the ball that goes into the Mets dugout and sees there's shoe polish on it. Brings it out to the umpire. Umpire agrees. We all thought he's perhaps struck out. Umpire agrees, though, and takes the pit ball and sends Cleon to first base. Up next is Don Clendenin, whom we got in a trade with the Pirates during the midseason. Don was a really good ball player. He was also an inspirational leader for the team, and later on in life he became a lawyer. Well, Don steps up and sends a long fly ball to left field. We're going nuts. We're going crazy. The ball's out of here. It's now 3-2 in favor of the Orioles, but we're coming back. It's the 6th inning. We're ready for them. And then it goes into the 7th inning. The bottom of the 7th, the first guy up is a light-hitting Al Weiss from Franklin Square, Long Island, New York. And Al, who only hit, I think, 1 home run the whole year, sent one to deep left field. We're now tied up 3-3 in the World Series. We are pumped. And true to his word, Jerry Koosman held the Orioles down. It's now the bottom of the 8th inning. Scores 3-3. Up comes Cleon Jones. Shoe polish Cleon. Gets a double. Don Clendenin then gets a ground out. And Swoboda's up. Ron Swoboda gets a double as well. Driving in the lead run is now 4-3 with Cleon now scoring. Ed Charles has a fly ball to left field. And Jerry Grody gets on due to an error by first baseman Boog Powell, scoring Ron Swoboda. It's now 5-3, and we're going into the top of the 9th inning with Jerry Koosman on the mound.
Let's go, Mets! 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 Let's go, Mets!
Well, we're all going wild at Shea. Jerry Koosman's on the mound, and the first guy up is Frank Robinson. He draws a walk. That means a tying run is at bat in the presence of Boog Powell. He gets a ground out of fielder's choice, getting Frank out at second, and Boog Powell's on first, replaced by Chico Salmon, who was a pinch runner. Brooks Robinson's now up. The great Brooks Robinson, the third baseman from the Orioles. He gets a fly ball to right field, where it's caught by Ron Swoboda, who early in the series had some great catches, along with Tommy Agee in center field. The two of them had incredible performances of defensive ability. There's now 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning, with the tying run at bat in the presence of Davey Johnson, who one day would become the manager of the Mets and lead the Mets in 1986 to the World Series. Well, Davey gets a long fly ball, as many people around the world heard Kurt Gowdy say on, I think, NBC, a long fly ball to left field. And it goes up, and it's going deep. We all look at it from our seats in left field as we're running down the side by the dugout. And we see Cleon Jones settle down on one knee. He waits for the ball. The ball peacefully goes into his glove. And the Mets are world champions. And we go crazy. The place was nuts.
Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets!
Looking back, I don't know how we honestly did it, but somehow we hurled ourselves over the fence, over the dugout, and we all ran onto the field, some 50,000 people, me and my friends, my buddies. We ended up at home